Hello, Markus. Oh, no, it's Michael. Hi, Michael. And hello, everybody, for tuning in to our special Christmas AMA session today with a lot of awesome guests from around the globe. We have people from the US, from UK, from Wales, from Scotland, from Belgium, from Germany, from the Netherlands, and also, if everything goes right, from Australia, Michael Sanata, who will hopefully wake up at kind of 1 or 2 o'clock at night and join us later on. So that's great, I think. So, Michael,
yeah, not Markus.
Yeah, so just to clear that, so Markus cannot make it short term because of some family issues. So thanks, Michael, that you jumped in and be my co-host for this session. And so the first guest that we have is actually from Belgium. It's Bruno, and I will just put him into the stream so we can start our conversation. Hi, Bruno. I think you're muted.
Hello, guys. Good afternoon.
Hello, hey. Bruno. Wow, nice background.
Thank you.
Very flashy. Oh, okay. See, I still have my Windows 2 background because we just talked about 35 years release date of Windows 2, so maybe I should just remove that. So maybe we can come back to this later.
Much better.
Yeah, Bruno. So how was your year 2022?
Very busy. A lot of consultancy, a lot of security issues that had to be tackled with PowerShell.
Okay.
Especially since the Uber hack, everyone wanted to know on which part of the infrastructure they could add PowerShell security, script signing, execution policies, block logging, and so on. So it was really a heavy year. Also, I learned and teach PowerShell to 22 people this year, so that's not bad.
Okay, cool. And I saw one of the LinkedIn posts from this nice location. Where's this?
Yes, it was
brick
actually
walls and stuff.
It was an old fort which was renovated, and they put some office spaces in it. A beautiful meeting room, and also it was a nice setting to give a 3-day masterclass.
And so you had a real deep dive sessions with these people?
Yes, the first day we started with a basic introduction in PowerShell, variables, commandlets, how to get help, a few tips and tricks. The second day it was mainly Active Directory, APIs, functions. And the third day we deep dived into Office 365, Exchange Online, SharePoint, Azure IDE, Enterprise App registrations, security, and also Script Runner.
Okay. And do you really think that because of the Uber hack, people got kind of reminded that, for example, having clear text credentials in scripts is a bad thing? Do you think that people kind of...
I'm sure almost every company has clear text credentials in the scripts.
I don't want to hear that. Oh my God.
La.
It's a fact.
Okay. That's okay. So I think, we have to talk about security and secrets management module and stuff.
There are some ways around with Scriptner can easily interact with CyberArk Psychotic. There are also some possibilities on the Windows Credential Manager, the Azure Key Vault, the Amazon Key Management Service. There are some possibilities to work around, let's say, the risk of credentials being leaked in the wild.
Amazing.
Yes.
Well, in a way, amazing, right? So this is really like...
And another good way.
Yeah.
So that's a way, but... I know a lot of customers and they don't have script logging active, they don't have script signed and so on. So that's a risk for the developer in the future.
Okay, that's really great. I mean, we had a we had actually a PowerShell security webinar in November, and it was top of the list when it comes to the members, the registrations, and also the people who actually attended. We had about 500 registrations. So maybe people kind of realize, yes, they have to do something to make things more secure. Because, as you said, there are so many ways, right? With the built-in stuff, with the secrets management module, constrained language. So the options are there, but I think just people don't really know, or they just don't do it because it just works.
It takes time. It takes
Yeah.
time to do everything, and that's mainly when it works, and that's for the vast majority of the customers. When it works, it's okay.
Yeah.
But if it works, it's not secure.
Absolutely. So what would you suggest as, let's say, a first step if people are still using having credentials in their scripts? What would be the first? What would be your recommendation for first step?
Use passwords, Vault or password solution, secret solution. Scriptner can do that. Tycotic, CyberArk, Azure Key Vault, and so on. Or just a Windows Credential Manager, and don't put them in plain text. And also use, let's say, a hash or a salt, which is the serial number of the CPU, which is something unique that only the script can run on that machine. And sign the scripts, do script logging, just the whole package. Yeah,
so that's a good point. Do you see people really using signing scripts quite a bit?
Let's say the biggest part of the customers are already signing scripts, but mainly when they run on the end user devices, not on servers. Because mainly the antivirus is just checking if a script is signed or not, and if it's not signed, he can block it. So the client sides, almost all scripts are signed. Server sides, no, nothing is signed.
Yeah,
which is
So it's
when you can do something wrong, mainly it's on the server, not on the client.
Yeah.
They should be signed also on the server, and also do the rotation of the certificates. Don't use a certificate which is 10 years valid.
Yeah.
And please don't make the private key exportable. Don't do it.
Yeah. All good advice here. Yeah. So absolutely, it's I've seen that with, like, having certificates having runtime for years and years and years, because it's just easier, right? Because you don't have to think about it every year or every 2 years. But of course, security-wise, not a good idea.
That's correct.
All right. So I think we have already Alexander with us, who I would put into our stream here.
Hello.
Hi, Alex. Oh, nice festive background here.
Yeah.
And I guess you're calling in from Spain, right?
Yeah, but I had to put on a heater and long pants today, so.
You had to?
Yeah, it's only 15 degrees outside.
You poor guy. Oh my God. Okay. So you escaped kind of the north and the winter, and right?
Yeah, I was back in Norway 2 weeks ago for a week, and I went from plus 25 to -5, and the day after arriving in Norway, I got the cold. So I don't miss the cold weather so far.
Okay. So for those of you who maybe not know Alex, he's a Microsoft MVP, and you're a senior cloud consultant with Cloudway, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. And I saw your tweet at the beginning of the year that you're going to move to Spain, and I thought, wow, that's a great move, but also a lot of work, I guess.
Yeah, it's a lot of paperwork and such like that. Yeah. And I've been trying to find places to join communities down here also. But most are like 4 or 5 hours drive from where I live. So.
Okay. So your move to Spain, you would say, was your most interesting project for this year, or were there anything else that you say, wow, like some highlights, where you say, wow, that was really a cool thing?
Yeah, I have just a small comment in regards to that, but the certificates and the secret you were talking about, how long certificates lasted. I remember it was a couple of years ago when you started getting Graph API and such in Azure AD or Azure Portal. I think you could set the expiry date for a secret to unlimited before. Now it's at 2 years at the max.
Yes.
It's good to have a short lifespan on the secrets.
Yeah, that's true. I think, Michael, we ran across that on my machine a while ago. Do you remember?
Yeah. Was not the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in regards of projects I've been working on, I helps one customer to create an automatic solution to send alert to teams where there's only one owner. They have a policy that there should be at least 2 owners in a team. So it's based on a Azure Automation runbook and a SharePoint list that keeps tags of who the script have sent warnings to and such. So you get 5 warnings, and after the 5th warning, IT can delete it, or you can set it to automatically delete also, because if you don't have 2 owners, you're not allowed to have the team in that organization. Yeah. That was a kind of fun project that
but that's a nice solution for it, obviously.
Yeah. And I could see they had over 1,000 teams with 1 owner, and just after a couple of weeks, you were down to 300. So it was very effective.
Okay. And
that's really fun.
I think I read was it one or multiple articles on your blog where I think you also where you wrote about this using Graph and managing teams, right? So this is one of
my blog posts.
Your favorite things, right?
Yeah. So and generally the projects I've been working on and blogs, it's mostly Graph API, and even trying to figure out other types of APIs. I have an air quality monitor at home, and it has a very great documentation and API. So I can get messages when the CO2 level of my office is too high. I get a message in Teams, for example.
Okay. Oh, cool.
Yeah. And a lot of other projects I've been doing it. You have in the Teams admin portal, there's so much you can do there, but it's all manual labor. So it was probably at the end of last year. I was supposed to add 300 network sites for a customer to do some mapping of the network in Teams. And you have to add 1 by 1 site. And I said, never again. So I wrote a script. And if you use the magical hacker button in Chromium-based browsers, so you can see all the API calls in the background. So only need to get that token and then run a script, and you automatically upload those network sites in a matter of seconds instead of using 2 or 3 days doing it manually.
Yeah, so that's the magic of automation. Right?
Yeah, it is.
Right. And have you been traveling quite a lot?
No, not this year. I've been to one conference actually. It's Scottish Summit right before summer. I was supposed to go to PowerShell Conf Europe, but it was right before moving and stuff. So I decided I couldn't go. It was too much to do with the moving. But hoping to get back into the conference scene next year.
Yeah, in Prague it's going to be, right? So that sounds
good. Prague is a great city.
It is.
I was there at the Ignite Tour Prague right before Corona happened.
Yeah, it's great. We've been there as for an Experts Live event,
that's true.
3 years ago, and that was amazing city. Absolutely.
Yeah, we also have a great member of the PowerShell community living in Prague. It's Jakub, the maintainer of Pester.
Yeah, right. So I guess we're going to hear a little bit more maybe later on when Gael is joining as one of the co-organizers of the PSConfEU. So
good.
We'll see. So anything else you have plans for next year?
I have applied to. It's more like a nerdy Teams conference with the inner core of MVPs arranging it. So it's more really a lot of level 400 session as such. It's ComSV Next in Denver in the US, and I have also applied to PowerShell Summit, but it's at the same date as this conference, so I need to see where I get accepted first.
Okay. This is, I think it's in April. Is it?
End of April or something like that.
Yeah. Okay. So Bruno, are there any events you're going to join next year? You're planning?
PowerShell Congress normally. So,
okay.
Yes, and perhaps at the end of the year also some local conferences about Azure, Cloud, Amazon, and so on.
Okay. I think there's, isn't it in Belgium? Is there the Technorama? Which kind of happens in which kind of
yes, that's let's say that's a community about cloud development and a lot of other stuff. Really nice. They also we in Belgium we're having a PowerShell community group, but I don't think it's used a lot or is not active anymore. So
okay.
Perhaps we should do something with that.
Yeah, absolutely. So Gael just mentioned that Barbara is also part of the organizing team of the PSConfEU. So she will join later. She just messaged me a few minutes ago that she has some work items that she has to finish, but I'm sure she's going to join us as well. Just like Evgenij, who would be our next guest, which I'm going to add to the stream. Hi, Evgenij, how are you?
Hi there. Yeah, I'm fine, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine too. That's actually it's the first time that we have more than 4 people in the StreamYard.
Load testing on Friday afternoon.
Yes,
that's what we did.
the usual thing, right? So let's keep our fingers crossed, so that everything is going to work. Yeah, so for those of you who don't know Evgenij, you're also a Microsoft MVP and you're a solution architect, right?
Yeah.
And you're also kind of working a lot with communities around Teams and Exchange and PowerShell, right?
No, not Teams, but Exchange. I founded the Exchange user group Berlin, which grew to be the Exchange user group DACH like 5 years ago. And my co-lead is Thomas Stensitsky, who's going to join later, as far as I understood, right?
Yeah, he should be also coming in, but he texted me that his flight was late, so we'll see how that works out.
Yeah, but no, Teams I never contributed anything meaningful to, but.
And so, what? How was your year? What was your highlight?
Yeah, well, my highlight is my background. For the first time in 3 years, back at the PSConfEU. Okay, it's not from this year. It's from Hanover.
Like Hanover. Yeah, it looks like Hanover, right?
Yeah. And you see Joey?
Yes, that Joe. Yeah,
exactly. So that was an absolute highlight, being in Vienna and talking to everybody, seeing people again, and talking shop about PowerShell and security and all this kind of things. Scripting wise, I wrote millions of lines, or it feels like millions of lines of PowerShell and C# and whatnot and Bash scripts, but there wasn't a single project that stood out.
Okay.
Was just automating the shit out of all kinds of systems, migration, Lotus nodes, directory synchronizations, Exchange, SQL,
okay.
all that
oh my
stuff.
God. Okay, so that's still a thing, isn't it? Lotus nodes or Domino?
It's still a thing, right?
Amazing. Is this also the jacket from the Hanover PowerShell user group with the Amazon logo at the side?
Yeah? AWS.
Yeah, AWS.
Absolutely.
I still wear that. It's it keeps warm and you never get lost. People find you, right? With this color, it's like, there he is,
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Is there a history with AWS? And
they were a sponsor that year. Everybody keeps asking that. How come AWS has its logo on a Microsoft-themed conference shirt, right? So, but they just co-sponsored the PSConf.
No other background.
I think wasn't this the year where some people from the PowerShell team, Microsoft, they moved to AWS, and they also had been sessions there, and then Jeffrey made fun of each other during the sessions, like the typical Microsoft, AWS kind of a thing. Cool. Is anything we need to know about your user group?
Yeah. It's actually 3. The Windows Server user group Berlin. It's the oldest. It's been around for over 10 years already. Then I host the Microsoft Exchange user group DACH together with Thomas, and the PowerShell user group Berlin, of course. And all of these user groups are in search of speakers. So everybody present and everybody out there in front of the screens are invited to contribute. It's a welcoming, thankful community. We had a hybrid meetup yesterday. With real people in a real room.
Amazing.
Having a real conversation.
Cool. I just pasted in the link, well, to your Twitter handle and also to the Exchange user group. So that's what I kind of prepared. If there's anything else you would like to add, just let me know. I can put it into the chat.
I will do that. Thanks.
But talking of speakers, just because you just mentioned that, we are planning to restart our Rhein-Neckar PowerShell user group here in Heidelberg. We want to come up with a first step with a virtual session only in February, where we also look for people who want to talk. So maybe we can use this opportunity to connect people. If people are interested, get in touch with us. You will find all of the people who we're going to talk about today on Twitter or on LinkedIn. So that shouldn't be a topic. I just looked at the chat. So Feist joined us, and he has specific questions about creating a report, where I think we can maybe get thanks Ryan for putting in the link. Perfect. And hi Ryan, by the way. So Ryan and I we met was it last week, since 2 years or something, to make plans for restarting our Rhein-Neckar PowerShell user group. Faiz, I think I would recommend that we get in touch afterwards, because this looks like a specific thing that you would like to achieve with PowerShell. So let's talk about this offline, I would say. So anything else, Evgenij, for next year that you're looking for?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be switching jobs early in the year, so doing other things different from what I've been doing for the last 30 years.
Okay.
Really exciting, and looking forward to that.
You become a musician?
To IT.
You become a musician?
No, I'm not leaving IT. I'm not leaving IT. Not that different. There will also be PowerShell involved. I'm very sure of that. But basically, getting off the streets and moving more towards security, which has been my focus of studies anyway. No, I'll be doing that more or less full time.
So one reason more to follow you, to find out what you will what you will be up to next year. Awesome. So I think we can welcome our next guest, which is Gregor. No. Here he is. Okay. Let me just. So now we're going to be 6. So hi, Gregor. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Can you hear me okay?
Hey.
Great.
Yeah.
Nice weather.
Yes.
Okay. Very cool.
How are you all doing?
Yeah. So you dressed up like,
Yes.
festive, right?
Yes. Festive. Needs to be done.
So maybe for those who don't know, Gregor, you're an Azure MVP,
Yes.
an Azure architect at Intercept, I think.
Yes.
And you are one of the heads behind this festive tech calendar, right?
Yes. So myself and Richard come up with the idea of, initially we had the Azure Advent calendar. So throughout the month of December, we're going to get people to do content for Azure. And then we spoke to some people at Microsoft who suggested that we change the name and call it the Festive Tech Calendar so that we could get more people doing more kind of tech and not just Azure. So we run that every year for the last, I think this is the 4th year. So it's throughout the month of December. Lots of talks, lots of live sessions, and we're trying to raise some money for charity as well. So this year's charity is called Missing People. So we're trying to organise some money for them because they reached out for some help during the year, just at the point where I was trying to think of a charity to be able to raise money for. So that was great timing. So we're trying to raise money for that while doing some fun and festive calendar stuff throughout the month. So yeah, it's been good so far. Looking forward to your session coming up as well.
Yeah, I heard there's going to be some music as well, right?
Yes, I've heard some music. Yeah.
Yeah. So after I contributed something last year, you still allowed me to do something else.
Yes. Last year's was great. Looking forward to this year's.
So that's going to be hopefully quite. I think it's going to be on the 26th or something.
Yes.
I followed the opening with the poem from Izzy.
Yeah.
So project wise, any highlights of this year? Things that you when I see you on Twitter, I'm like, this guy is traveling 24/7, right?
This year's goal was to travel through work a little bit more. And in the last, I think, 6 weeks, I've been quite a few places. So yeah, I'm kind of feeling a bit run down at the moment. I've got the cold now, so it's caught up with me. So the goal was to try and travel a little bit more. So with work, we can do workshops at Microsoft venues for customers. So last couple of weeks I've been in Sweden, Austria, and Denmark, which has been great. Never been to any of those places, so it's really good fun. Really enjoying it. So that's the plan for next year. A bit more of that as well.
And do you have a chance also to take a look at the cities, or are you just rushing into the office buildings and back to the airport?
Yeah, we kind of fly in day one. The workshop's the next day, and then we fly home the day after. So they're there for 3 days. Not seen too much of Vienna. Saw a little bit of Stockholm and a little bit of Copenhagen, but enough to make me want to go back to all 3. So that's good.
Okay.
Yeah. And the workshops are all on different topics as well, which is quite good. It's good fun.
And so that's going to continue next year as well. So
yeah. So
you're collecting miles, so it becomes a senator class or something. Or
yeah. KLM points are going up.
Yeah.
No, it's good fun. I'm enjoying it. So that's good. Yeah, we're going to do more workshops next year.
Okay, very cool. And I think this I heard about the first time when I looked at the Festive Tech Calendar about this Missing People organization. I think this is really, really very, very an important thing, right? A very, very important thing.
Yeah, it came out of the blue. Someone reached out to me to say, you do some Azure stuff. Could you potentially help these people? And I was like, I didn't know anything about them.
Yeah.
So I ended up on a call with them and I was like, yes, we can help. I'll try and get some MVPs from Britain to try and help. And then I saw that I went onto their website, didn't really know too much about them, and saw that they're looking for donations because not too many people donate to a charity like that. And I was like, okay, let's try and sort that out. So that was the charity we've chosen this year. Oh, there's my alarm going off. Sorry. Yeah, so that's worked out well. So hopefully we're going to help them with some IT stuff as well going forward.
Yeah, so I pasted in the link to the Festive Tech Calendar. I think there is also the link to the charity site, right? Where people can donate, right?
Yeah, they did a session on day one as well, kind of talking about how they help people as well. So I didn't know this, but they said that someone goes missing in the UK every, I think it's 60 seconds, which is unbelievable when you think about it. Yeah, so these people look after, if it's children who go missing, they kind of help the parents. kind of with lots of different things. So yeah.
So I think this is really a very good cause.
Yeah, definitely, especially this time of year.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's, and I think you also I think you set some goals, right, in regards to the charity.
So
the donations.
Last year we did we raised money for Girls Who Code, and April Edwards is amazing. She at Microsoft, she's basically said if we can raise whatever we raise, she'll double it. So because she works for Microsoft, they'll double it. So last year we raised 5,000, which was doubled to 10,000 for Girls Who Code. And this year, I'd absolutely love it if we can try and raise 5,000. I don't think we will, but hopefully we'll get close to raising 5,000 for missing people. That'd be amazing. That'd be really tremendous.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And anything else you've planned for maybe for the Christmas season? Is there any special?
Well, I'm back in the Netherlands next Tuesday to Friday. We've got it's called a Winter Septival. So we've got like our work's called Intercept. So we're having a Winter Septival. We're all going to dress up and then do some stuff outside. I don't really know what we're doing, but I'm really looking forward to that.
Okay.
That'll be cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You're celebrating quite a lot. I like that. That's really.
Yeah.
I mean,
you've got to do that. You've got to do it.
I mean, if you work a lot, right? So yeah.
Absolutely.
Cool. So anything else you would like to mention in regards to your user group?
Oh, the Azure user group's going great. I know you've got Sarah coming up. Sarah's absolutely amazing at organising and running the Azure user group. I don't really help much. I just kind of tidy up at the end. So she does all of the hard work and I just attend and help out with the small bits. So she organises everything. So I can't take any kudos for that. I just kind of turn up and help out when I can. So we've had a lot of really good speakers recently. We run it every 2 months, which is good. So if anyone wants to come to Scotland and Glasgow and do a talk that's on this call or listening, reach out to Sarah and we'll get you.
I will put in the chat in also the link to the Glasgow Azure user group, and we will, if everything works fine, we will have Sarah in here again also later on. So
cool.
Let's see if this works out.
We can do it remote as well because you did it remote and it was really good. So you don't have to travel to Scotland, but if you do fancy coming, you're more than welcome.
I did a session where I would have loved to be there, but I think it was also thanks to the technology. It kind of worked out pretty.
It worked great.
Yeah, I would say so.
Absolutely. We had Simon Binder on Wednesday all the way from Sweden. He likes to come over to Scotland, so you're more than welcome to come and see the sights of Glasgow.
Okay, so here we just have a comment from Chrissy. Look at this. She's going to move to Glasgow.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Okay, so we have to talk about this later.
Yes. Chrissy, you're more than welcome to appear any time in the Glasgow user group, so I'll send you some details and you can definitely come and speak. And join us every 2 months.
People can learn about DBA-tools and stuff, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome.
Just a small comment on Edinburgh and Glasgow. I was there for Scottish Summit, and don't do as I did and mix up the airports. I ordered tickets for, but luckily it's like just a 50-minute drive from Glasgow to Edinburgh and vice versa.
Yeah, that's not too bad. Yeah, I think the Scottish Summit may actually be moving over that way. I'm not sure. So
but it's not. They are not having Scottish Summit next year, I think. It's
I'm not sure. I think they might be, so keep posted. I'm not sure. There's rumours that they might be doing it, so
okay,
I wouldn't say not yet, but hopefully it does come back next year. Yeah, it
was a great conference though. It was.
Yeah, no, it's really good, very friendly and just a nice size. So if you ever want to come to Scotland and want to talk, that's a really good excuse to come and see the sites as well. Do the whiskey tours and see a bit of the country.
It is.
Yeah.
Awesome. Is there anything in the Azure space that was a highlight for you this year?
Not really a highlight. The thing that we're doing more and more is we're doing lots of AKS projects. So Richard does all the AKS stuff, and I'm trying to learn that slowly but surely to try and help him out because he's very, very busy with lots of AKS projects. So that's very, very popular. So I'm going to try and learn a bit of AKS. And I think the highlight for me, I've got a developer background and I don't really do networking, and I managed to pass the networking exam. So that was probably my highlight. I find that really difficult because I'm not really that good at networking. So I had to try and learn some of that stuff. But next year I need to do a bit more AKS, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you continue. I think. Okay, so you continue to have certificates and
Yeah, I think I'm done with them. I've done all the exams I want to do. I think I've done too many now, and I'm fed up doing renewals. So I think I'll can doing exams. Maybe start looking at AWS or something next.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Try and do multi-cloud. Yeah.
Yeah, I have the certificate trip for Azure also in this year. I passed 5 or 6 of them.
Cool.
Was a tough work.
Yeah, it's not easy.
yeah, but
Absolutely.
and multi-cloud is even more.
Yeah, I think that may be a bad idea on my part, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. But I followed the VMware some sessions a few weeks ago, and I mean, for them it's all about multi-cloud, right? So it's I wonder how that can be managed in a proper way. So I don't know if Azure Arc is the solution there, or I don't know.
Yeah, we've seen some customers, not too many customers, if any, are doing multi-cloud. They're not but some people are doing a little bit here and a little bit there, so it just happens to come across.
Okay, so we have
I don't think anyone's choosing to definitely go multi-cloud and deploy the same thing to 3 different clouds, for example.
Yeah. So I think we have another Scotland fan here. so people, I mean, being a speaker in the user group could be a good excuse, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. You're more than welcome. Come over for a couple of days and we'll take you out for a drink and get some food and see a bit of the city. Yep, absolutely.
Perfect.
Yeah,
so
it's a very good chance to come and do that.
Yeah, excellent. So I think we have Michael Sanata with us, the guy who is from Australia in the middle of the night. Oh, wow. And I think he's in very festive mode. So I will put him into the stream here. Yay!
Hey guys!
Hi, Michael. I mean, this is like what time is it? What time is it over there?
Oh mate, it's 1:30 a.m. That's why I got the sunglasses. I look like death.
Well, but you look very cool. Oh. I mean, this is like almost like a dangerous man, even with this hat. It's cool.
Yeah, I was quietly trawling through the house just before trying to find something festive, and I thought about getting the Christmas tree and just putting it in front of the camera, and then trying to just see if anyone would be like, "It's just a Christmas tree talking."
I would say it looks like a poker outfit.
Yeah, but
you go.
Yeah, so you manage that your family is still sleeping and you just
Oh yeah, that
sneaked.
is yeah. It's quite fortunate that my office is at the front of the house and all the bedrooms are kind of off to the sides, so we're not. Yeah, and I've kind of sneakily shutting the doors. So. I'm shutting my door, so hopefully the noise doesn't permeate too far.
Okay, cool. So no singing of Christmas songs. Okay, I got that.
Yeah, which is a bit of a shame because
it is absolutely
here.
Yeah. Yeah. So before we continue, so for people who don't know you, you are also an Microsoft MVP, of course.
Yep.
A speaker, and you are also the co-founder, I think, of the Brisbane PowerShell user group. Now it's called DevOps,
the Brisbane Infrastructure DevOps user group.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's essentially we kind of changed it just so we could, get other languages and things like that into the group as well, which is always interesting. And it was, that was we founded that. Geez, I can't even remember now. It was like in 2018 or 17. I think it's 18. It was founded. It's been going for a while now. We've been we host every month with the exception over 2 months over Christmas, which is December and January. So yeah.
And you have been also busy with a PowerShell book, right?
Oh yes.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about it, maybe?
Oh yeah. So So for the last couple of years, we've been kind of conceptualizing and also just moving forward the PowerShell, or essentially changing from the PowerShell conference book into changing the PowerShell conference book into a actual textbook that can be used by other organizations. So I'm just not really with it at the moment. I'm still not a bit tired. And so the idea was just, it's for it to be used by universities and, tertiary education to kind of be able to bootstrap them into a lot more of the best practices within PowerShell. So it's not really focusing on a PowerShell 101 aspect. It's more talking about the other things like code management, Git, unit testing, security. So I'm just trying to go through that. And that's been a really, really interesting and really, really good, I would say good. It's been a really, really awesome process to go through. And finally, we may be able to release it. I'm still waiting on the paperback, which is coming. It's in the mail. I checked it yesterday. It's actually arriving on December the 19th, so I can finally review it. Which is really, really exciting, so that we can finally get the paperback out. So, it's one of those processes that it's a book that I've had the opportunity to do, as an editor-in-chief, to be able to actually sit there from the top level and then always go down to and help out authors and write a few chapters. It's myself as well, which is always great.
And so the content-wise, is it for PowerShell beginners, intermediate, advanced, or for everybody? What would you say?
I'm going to say it's for everyone. There's things that I didn't know that I learned. There's things that I think that while it's a good resource, and it's obviously it's really focused at the intermediary kind of audience, and so we're not going to try and replace. There's no point trying to replace the 101 in month of lunches. That's not what the book's goal is. It's to target that next step up. So it's like, okay, I've got enough to be dangerous. How can I and do it right, do it correctly, and do what how the industry likes to see it. Well, mostly does it.
So if people are interested in getting the book, because
it's currently on LeanPub at the moment, so you can just go and search modern automation with PowerShell. It's a photo of the back of my head.
I'm just looking for it so I can put it into the chat.
And I'll quickly wrap it a little bit more about it. So with the book, all proceeds go to charity. It's basically it's all going to the DevOps Collective, and that's the DevOps Collective is run by James, and essentially it just is it really helps bootstrap those people who are underrepresented in IT or come from marginalized backgrounds, the demographics. It really helps them to just get bootstrapped into IT. So so it's a really, really great. I've done a lot of writing for these guys for the DevOps Collective before. So within PowerShell Conference Book, and I've edited within Conference Book 3. So it's really, really good charity, and I think it's a good thing. And there is a bit of a future for that book as well, which I'm going to keep under wraps, but I do have plans, ambitions for the next edition, which I'm hoping that makes it's exciting to see what we're trying to do behind the scenes. And we've just completed our review and retros on it. So it's good.
That's now I'm getting excited here. So I think also for people who kind of want to start learning PowerShell, that could be a good starting point as well, together with the
I would definitely say after a month of lunches, go and have a read of it. It's really just focuses like if you scroll down, it kind of goes through the table of contents. There is a free chapter on there. One of the guys, his name's Nick. I'll scroll up for a sec. Sorry, what's his name? I'm not with it. Yeah, it's Nick Bissell. I thought I was going to say Birch. I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's not Birch. That's off a TV show. Nicholas Bissell. He actually wrote a lot of the PowerShell regex chapters. And it's really good. Like he's an absolute gun with regex. Very, very, very. So you can go and have a read of the sample, jump online, go have a quick read of the sample. We've obviously got the regex chapter. It's a great chapter. Get your feet wet. But if you scroll down, you can see the full table of contents, what's in there. It's just oozing with chapters, and go have a look.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, so I will paste the link into the chat as well. So I think this is really interesting. So you would say this is one of your highlights for this year?
Well, absolutely. Finally getting the book out. It's been a real challenge, especially over COVID or 2020/COVID. So having the actual book finally done is just a really, really it's just great. It's just great.
I think it's a great. Once it's like, I guess, like if a baby is born, right? Like now.
Yeah, it's conceptualizing is conceptualizing a process and then actually being able to bring it to life. And then it was a long running and massive project that we decided I decided with Stephen Judd. We decided to kind of to bring into fruition, and just being able to see and meet some really, really great people along the way. It just it's just awesome. Like it's just so great just to have it finally done, and also just the journey as well. I think that I learned a lot about managing, and learned a lot about a lot about myself, and capabilities where I didn't think I could do, and just having the right. Just kind of having an attitude where I was like, hey, I've got to lower the expectations a little bit, and just sometimes I just need to be like, hey, I need to go and jump in and write a chapter. So that's what I did. So, it was really good.
Awesome. That sounds amazing. So I put the link into the chat, so people can find it.
Definitely go check it out. Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. So just as a side note, so Gregor had to leave. He's not feeling well. Hope he feels better soon. So still great that he was on the call, on the session, even though he's not feeling. That's hopefully he gets better soon. So I think we have Barbara now with us. So I would add her to the stream. Ta-da.
Yes.
Yes. Here you are. How are you?
I made it finally. It's weekend.
Yes. Hooray. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It's officially the weekend now. Hi, everyone.
Yeah. Thanks. Great for that you're joining. So for those of you who don't know, Barbara, you're Azure MVP, Azure Technical Lead at OGD, I think. Is it called? ACT Diensten? Something?
It's like IT services, but in Dutch.
Okay. I know this word Diensten because in my previous company we had a customer, the Belastingdienst, and I found that such a cute name for such a bad thing, right? Paying tax, tax office, like Belastingdienst.
That's the tax office. It's called Belastingdienst.
Yeah, it sounds so, so.
It's in no way cute. In Dutch.
I know, but it sounds. I know, but it sounds cute, right? So, what have been your highlights? You've been traveling a lot to conferences, right? This year?
Yeah, like I've been making up for those years that we couldn't travel. So really, I've been, of course, to Vienna for the PowerShell Conference Europe. I got to go to Belgium a few times. I got to go to Scotland, and last November the biggest trip was to San Francisco to GitHub Universe, and last week I got back from Denmark. So really, it's been an amazing time.
You're really almost like Gregor, also traveling the world, right? And I think I saw you in Mainz at the Cloud Summit, right?
Yeah, Germany as well.
Where you had a session. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a session there on where you should keep your PowerShell scripts in Azure. So how do automation accounts compare to Azure Functions, for example?
Yeah, that was really. I actually was in the session. It was really interesting. I don't know. Are these recordings available somewhere? Do you know that? No.
Okay. That session was not recorded, and see that a lot more when the conference get in person again. That a lot of them don't get recorded.
Yeah. So you have to go where Barbara is to learn these things, right?
There's a lot of web content still available. I'm still doing some virtual stuff like this, and recently some sessions on Bicep starting up again. But yeah, the talks that I do at the conferences, you have to go to the conference.
Yeah, which is great, right? Being in person again. So Chrissy just said, "Well, mine." So she didn't know because she obviously lives nearby. So
we had a chance to finally meet. Chrissy and I have never met.
Okay.
How crazy is that?
Oh my God! Maybe that's something for a New Year's resolution for next year.
That's a good idea. I really want to meet Chrissy.
Yeah. So maybe that could be. Yeah, but still talking about this year. So what was your highlight project or achievement if you look back the last couple of months?
Well, I finally had that experience where you just create a module and you put it in the PowerShell gallery and you kind of forget about it. And then you look back at it, and certainly people have started to use it.
Okay.
And I had that with a module I created around SendGrid. So SendGrid is an API that you can use when you want to send email. And it's basically just a wrapper. It's pretty simple. So it makes SendGrid usable from PowerShell. And I put it up somewhere last year, and then I checked it again, and it had like 40,000 downloads. And I was like, oh no, I need to do some maintenance.
I just found it. Do you want me to put the link into the chat so more people are going to use it?
Yeah, sure. Apparently, a lot of people felt a need for that. There was a lot of people because the reason I started with it was a blog post, and that blog post got so many hits. So apparently, people want to use it.
Yes,
it's called PSConfEU.
Yeah. So yeah, mail is still a thing, right? I mean. So yeah,
and it was a bit of a surprise to me, but it's really cool to have that experience of just creating a module, not knowing what's happening. I think that's one of the fun things with creating projects and putting them out there, that you never know which one become very successful.
Yeah.
And apparently a lot of people got use of this. I mean, that's really cool.
So I was just looking. Yeah, well, 2,000 downloads from the previous, and 33,000 from. Version 03. Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. So it helps to make this sending email easier, or what's the?
Yeah, like SendGrid has an API which you can use, and you have an API key, and you can send email automatically. And a lot of people are using it when they're creating scripts that need to create some sort of report. And they add report, or if they want to send it to multiple people, I've made it's basically one PowerShell command that makes it possible to send it. And I tried to make it as similar to send mail message as I could, because that's why I started creating it, because send mail message is obsolete. You shouldn't use it anymore because it's not secure. And I tried to make it as similar as possible.
Somebody said Barbara sounds Dutch. Well, that's a good observation. Yes. Yes. So that's very true. Yeah.
Excellent. Cool.
Okay. Excellent. So are you going to be at the PSConf in Prague as well next year?
I'm going to be there because I'm part of the organizers.
Oh my God, this was just what Gael just posted in the chat earlier on. Yeah. Okay, so you're fully involved in the whole preparation thing?
Yeah, this is so cool. Like I got to be part. It's the first year I'm going to be part of the organization of the PowerShell conference. So I'm really excited about that. It's all very new and very cool. And this is such a fun conference.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about that.
I just put the link again to the PSConf. I think there's one more week.
Yeah. Until the 15th, and you can still add your sessions if you want to be a speaker. And really, if you're in doubt, just do it.
Yeah.
Because we really want to see a whole lot of speakers there.
That's what I just read. There's one more week, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just putting. I will put in the sessionize key as well, a link into the chat, because people have a chance. One more week, right? So I'm just putting that into the chat as well. What does?
Yeah, you can sign up now, and if you're like,
she can see. She can see us. Okay.
Just continuing on. You can sign up now, and I want to personally say, if you're like, okay, I'm not sure if I'm good enough, or I'm not sure if my subject is good enough, or I'm in any doubt, you can send a DM to me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is somewhere in my name. And if you are in any doubt and you need some sort of confirmation, send me a DM on Twitter, and we're going to make it happen. I'm going to answer you and tell you if it's what we're looking for, or can give you some tips.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Excellent. Anything else you have planned for the festive season?
The festive season, well, it's usually the quiet season because it was very busy with all the conferences, and then in December it all slows down a little bit. And some time to spend with my family and just relaxing a little bit. And then after January is finished, we'll see where we'll land then. But to always try to keep it a little bit quiet.
Yeah, that's a good plan after all the, especially for you, all the traveling, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. So I think, we have Markus with us, who is going to join us quickly, and then I think we can move on to and Thomas appeared, and John is there. I'm looking forward to have John in the stream.
Hey folks.
Hi Markus.
Hey Markus.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm okay so far, thank you.
Okay. So tell us about, so for those of you who don't know Markus, he's with ScriptRunner. He works like in the same team as Michael in our customer success team. And you got married this year. That's probably the highlight, right?
Exactly, yeah. That's definitely the highlight of the year.
And you're still happily married, right?
Yes, of course. Sure.
Of course. Excellent. Anything else? I think you also have been in Vienna at the PSConf, right?
Yeah, I was at the PSConf. And I remember Barbara just draws a PowerShell sign on the back of my head with some hair dye at the speakers' dinner.
This was so much fun. We had Rob had brought purple hair dye for his beard because life is better when it's purple.
All right.
And then we decided to make it a challenge. And in the speakers' dinner, I tried to get as many people purple as I could. And so many people appreciate it. And the ones with the PowerShell logo on the back of the head was really awesome.
So if people who haven't been to a PSConfEU, that's one of the reasons why you have to go there. You know, it's not just learning a lot of things, it's also having a lot of fun.
Yeah, really.
Meeting with the people. So okay. Robin just said that's dedication. Yeah, absolutely. So I think we can. I think Thomas. I can't see the video. So, but we have John with us. So, or shall we? Thomas was late with his plane. So, okay. Let's just. Well, why not just bring both of them into the chat? Hey, it's Thomas and it's John. so
hello.
Okay.
Hello, Thomas. Hi, John.
Hi. So Thomas, your plane was late. But you still could make it. Or are you still in the airport?
But I'm already in London. So it might be noisy in the background. So I will definitely mute myself in between.
Okay, no problem. Cool. But it's great that you still can make it to our session. And so again, for people who don't know Thomas, obviously, of course, also an MVP, and you are a principal enterprise consultant in.
Yes.
Right. So what's your main?
My expertise is exchange messaging and all this thingy, this legacy technology called email.
Oh well, we just talked about Barbara's module who relates to email, which still seems to be a popular thing, right?
It's had been called dead so many times, but it's still alive, and we are sending even more and more emails year by year. So I do not see a reduction, and I do not see that this is going to change in the near future.
Yeah, it's so. You're also running the Exchange user group in Berlin, right?
So yes, so Evgenij, Smirnov and I, we are the lead for the Exchange user group for the German-speaking region. So it's not only Berlin, we are located in Berlin and we meet in person in Berlin. But since COVID, we do have hybrid events, and we see ourselves as the Exchange user group for Germany, Austria, Switzerland, and other countries wherever somebody speaks German. And no, it's not. You can join the user group if you do not speak German. So.
I didn't hear the last words. You were whispering. Was it?
I wasn't whispering, but so German is not a prerequisite for joining the user group.
Okay. I put in the link to the user group as well. As you said, I think mail and exchange is still a thing. So if you look at your highlights of this year, what would you say? What was the?
To be honest, my personal highlight was the Ignite conference in person this year. So after such a long time with no real in-person events, being on or attending in-person events like the Ignite Scottish Summit and some other conferences, this was definitely my personal highlight this year.
And also content-wise, you said was it the people more or the content? The people, I guess, right?
The people, because any of you who attended one of the prior virtual-only Ignites, I bet you weren't really satisfied with the content and the level of content provided, because these were mostly marketing events. That's my personal opinion. And it was really good to get in contact with tech personnel, either from Microsoft or even from other Microsoft partners, to discuss stuff as we did prior to this pandemic.
So you would definitely go there next year again, I guess.
Yes.
And are there any news in regards to your user group, things that people should know?
Well, so we meet once per quarter, so every 3 months we do have a meetup, and we're definitely looking for speakers who want to talk about any kind of stuff that correlates to any exchange topic, so exchange server, hybrid, exchange online, and anything in between, or left and right of this, because we still rely heavily, for example, on PowerShell automation, and with the deactivation of basic authentication in Exchange Online going on, there's a high demand on proper solutions for automating things the right way.
Yeah, that's
right.
Well said. Yeah, so as I'm Exchange guy since Exchange 5.5, I'm absolutely also still into this Exchange stuff.
Well, I know that if someone says, yes, I know this product since version XYZ, this correlates most of the time, or is a statement about the personal age, isn't it? We're not talking about this today.
I have absolutely no problem to talk about my age. Look how I'm dressed. I mean, I'm old, so that's
my first touch point with Exchange was with 2000, Exchange 2000.
Okay, this is also quite a while ago.
Yeah,
and still without PowerShell, right? It just came later. Very cool. Very cool. Barbara, I just realized we didn't talk about the Dutch PowerShell user group. Is there anything we should know? I think I will put in the link as well into the chat.
Yeah, we are still running. We had to keep it virtual very long. Because Bratzer and I, we run the user group together. We run 2 user groups. You also have the Dutch DevOps and GitHub user group. And we tried to do an in-person one in November last year, and we were a bit traumatized because we had to cancel it last minute because lockdowns were happening. So we kept it virtual pretty long, but we decided last month we're going to do it in person again. And we did one in Utrecht, and we had quite a big crowd there. So we were very happy with the amount of people that showed up, and we had in-person speakers. So it was really fun again. Cool. We don't really have a schedule mostly Jaap and I are just like, should we do a user group again? Yeah, let's do that. But we are really looking forward to having them in person again. We have a very great following in the Netherlands. A lot of people who almost always are there. And it's always a lot of fun and great to connect to people again.
Cool. Actually, the reason why we have this AMA session the way that it is today is because we reached out to Jaap, I think in September, and asked him if he would come over to our office and we do a Christmas AMA session only with him. And he said, he can't make it because he's somewhere else. And then Markus, I think you suggested, like, let's go with the other way and let's get as many people as possible in and let's talk to them at the end of the year about, what they did and what they're planning. And so that's actually, so it's kind of because of Jaap, so many things because of Jaap, right?
Jaap can do so many things by not showing up.
That's an amazing talent, isn't it? I mean, that's that's a nice quote. Okay,
Jaap is always so busy, so it's really great if he can find the time for this kind of stuff, and he often does. So we always have fun with the user group, and it's always great to get together.
Yeah. So maybe next year we can do something together as well. That would be.
Yeah.
That would be cool. All right. So I think now it's time for the man with the hat, with the best hat in town, John.
It's getting a lot of love, isn't it?
Hi, John.
How you doing? I'm John. I'm Exchange 5.5 years old. Yeah, very old, I think is the term.
Is that the hat talking?
It could be, couldn't it?
Yeah, see, your idea, Michael, with the Christmas tree would have been also, maybe you still can get it here and show it.
Probably get some green.
I think,
I'm sure.
Yeah, I think if I did that, my wife would not be happy with me.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, so we don't want you.
You dragged the Christmas tree where?
Is it already January? Like what do they say with IKEA? They have this, this tradition when they throw away the Christmas tree. But John, great to have you. For people who are not familiar with what you're doing, you're an ex-MVP, and that's because you joined Microsoft.
I did, yeah.
And you're an organizer of the Welsh Azure user group, right?
That's me. Yeah, no, it's good to be here. Thank you for having me on with such a prestigious company. I mean, it's a great AMA. Hello, everybody.
Hi.
And I get a lot of love for the hat, so thank you everybody in the chat as well. I think I think Brisbane Infrastructure DevOps User Group have said it's the best hat award so far. There's still another hour to go yet for.
Gael, you got to step up. Chrissy as well.
Yeah. So I think now the challenge is on, right? The challenge is on. So
so far, there we go.
Let's see what's happening. So, John, what was your highlight for this year? Was it moving to Microsoft?
I think so much has happened. It's like a blur at the moment, but yeah, certainly the move to Microsoft over the last kind of 6 weeks has been, awesome. It's like anything. I was working at BT, the company I worked at before, for like 10 years. So taking that leap of faith and kind of shifting it after that length of time, it took me a little bit of courage. I'm not going to lie. But yeah, moving into the mothership has been, it's everything and more that people say it is. It's just like this fountain of knowledge constantly spurted at you. And it's, you've got to do a lot to keep up, but it's certainly enjoyable. So yeah, it probably is. It was a bittersweet thing, like you mentioned, Heiko. I had to hang up the MVP. Don't necessarily want to remove myself from the community. I love being part of the community. You meet so many brilliant people, and I don't think I will. But yeah, the move to Microsoft, had to do that. Can't be a full-time employee and an MVP, but I'm keeping the award on the shelf behind me there, and I'm gonna stay part of the community as much as I can.
Perfect. So I guess so what is it like if you're starting with Microsoft? Is it like 2 weeks of onboarding, getting to know all the people, or is it so? Is it like this huge organization where everything is like process after process, or is it like still this startup?
Well, yeah, I think everybody's got their own view before. I don't know whether people go in and move into Microsoft or they got their view of what Microsoft. But obviously, like the majority of us, I've worked with Microsoft products for quite a while, for a long time now. Started off unified comms, messaging, Exchange. That was where I cut my technical teeth in consultancy. So you have this kind of idea that they are this big mothership of a company. And honestly, as soon as you go in, I keep saying to people, I don't think my feet have touched the ground for the last month and a bit that I've been there. It's onboarding and it's super professional. You can imagine it's super professional, high production quality onboarding material. It's no PowerPoint slide deck that you're clicking through. It's proper full on, almost Hollywood grade kind of onboarding collateral. It's great. And, it's entertaining, informative. And look, I've been doing that. And then, of course, my role, what I've been told is kind of take your time, build yourself up, because, if you don't, you'll get swamped. And I've kind of turned the tap on to customer contact, customer calls, and obviously getting to know people that do the same role as me, people that do other roles, the supporting roles and the wider team. And it just doesn't stop. It's like as soon as you scratch one area and think a little bit about that area, it's like, okay, remember those games where, to save memory, they only just used to highlight a part of the game as you walked around it. It feels very much like that your immediate vicinity, but then you don't know how big the map is. It's huge. So, but like I say, it's been really, really good fun so far, just kind of navigating through it all, meeting new people, speaking to customer, getting to know my new job and my new role. So yeah, it's like I say.
And are you actually in the office a lot, or is it still you're working from home?
Yeah, primarily? I think it's a mobile role. So I'm what they call an Azure core specialist now with Microsoft. So for years, I've been kind of on the technical side, technical consultant, infrastructure person at heart, unified comms, did a bit around Skype and Teams. But when I went over to the last few years with BT, I've been kind of straddling that fence of pre-sales / technical. So an Azure specialist, the specialist roles in Microsoft are more pre-sales effectively. So they're like a technical pre-sales role effectively, if you want to think of it like that. And you can come at it from different angles, either from a sales angle or from a technical angle. So yeah, I mean, that's the role that I'm doing. And it kind of feels like a nice fit. Like I say, because I'm so old, I'm Exchange 5.5. Keeping up with technology these days is, really easy, right?
Yeah. And I remember what you said when when we had the chat on your blog, where you said, but when BT found out they can roll me in front of customers, right? So I like that when you said, okay, this is like what you do.
And I love, like us all, we're all involved in technology in various parts of technology. And I love talking about it. And I love speaking to customers when they have a specific problem and they need some help or some guidance. I love being able to kind of bounce ideas off, throw opinions and things that you could do to solve problems and just getting that kind of interaction with customers. I absolutely love that. So like I say, over the years, I've kind of moved into that role where we look at problems, try and see how we can use technology to solve those problems and, make it worthwhile. And I guess now I've got that added commercial string to my bow in the role that I do with Microsoft, which is the bits that I'm going to be learning more and more about, but I'm really excited to do. And yeah, like I say, so far, I've got no complaints. It's brilliant. And, one thing that struck me, and a lot of people say it, is that when you go into Microsoft, you're kind of surrounded by truly brilliant, super highly intelligent people. And it's so true. You kind of, everybody I've asked, everybody I've spoken to is like, bang, super on it. Do you know what I mean? They all know their stuff, and it's like it's amazing. It's like okay, which way do you go? It's
this is like what Thomas Maurer told us, Markus, right? When we had him on the ARMA session, where he said it was like sometimes it's like, okay, he's the let's say the stupidest person in the room because there are so many brilliant people, and which is great. I mean, this is how you learn, right, as well.
Oh, absolutely. No, so it's been good fun, but yeah, that's been a a particular highlight, I would say, of this year. So yeah, I've gone a little bit quiet on the community front for the last couple of months because of the run up to the new job, and obviously then with the new job, it's been so busy. Truly, I don't think I've been as busy as I've been in my working life, but busy in a good way, if there is such a thing. It's just been really enjoyable. So,
and then you could still deliver some drum parts for our festive tech calendar song.
Yeah, I managed to do a bit. It's not as focused as I wanted it to be. I wanted to be able to sit down and do you a little video, but no, I thank you for involving me in that, Heiko. That was a good bit of fun. Looking forward to Boxing Day when that comes out on the festive tech calendar.
Yeah, it's 26, right? Yeah. So
26.
Let's see. I published a little sneak preview last week, I think, and so I hope people are going to be interested.
I think so.
We'll see. All right. So, anything else that you are planning for next year that you want people to know?
Next year, no. We're still doing the user group stuff. We've got a session next week. So next week we've got our. I did set it quite late. The date is on the 21st, but we've got a few people signed up for it. But I think to entice, we've got 2 great talks on like the infrastructure, migrating SQL servers. What are our options to migrate SQL into Azure? We've got a session from Joe Hubbard next week on that, and then we've got Jackson Feldman coming on to talk around how we protect our cloud identities in Azure using Azure AD, and to kind of entice people on. We always have a Christmas. Well, we always have a quiz, but this month I think we're going to have a bumper set of prizes. So we've got prizes from Elgato. My friends Elgato has sponsored some prizes. We've got some Microsoft swag, some Welsh Azure swag, some Amazon vouchers. So, you'd be foolish really not to come on and get yourself a last minute Christmas present. Eh?
Cool. So yeah, I just put in the link to the user group so people can, and it's virtual or hybrid? It's virtual, right?
We're still virtual at the moment. Yeah, there's talk of us going hybrid. We did one hybrid last year as a test, and it worked out really well. It was a lot of organization. But to be honest with you, I think we've not gone back to in person because it is that additional bit of, people probably don't realize how much organization it takes, to arrange, an in-person event. I mean, a virtual event, let alone in person. So, yeah, we've all been pretty busy in the group, the organizers. So we thought, well, we'll stick with virtual for the time being. And yeah, it's been good. We haven't stopped for a few years now. We've been consistent. Every month we're there. So this month I'll be wearing my Rudolph hat, no doubt, and getting involved. So yeah, if anybody can join us, please do RSVP on the link. Yeah, thanks, Heiko.
Perfect. Yeah, absolutely. So cool. But we had a question regarding if the Dutch PowerShell talks get recorded. So Barbara had to leave, but I will. I just looked at the YouTube. I think there's a YouTube channel. I will try to find it. Otherwise, just follow Barbara on Twitter, and she has all the info. Or Yap, as we learned. All right, so let's move on. Thanks a lot, John. So let's move on to Sonny. So from Canada. Hi, how are you?
Hey.
Good. Nice Christmas tree.
I know, right? I love it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And is this? Are you watching the soccer game? Is it this? I see this green field in the background.
Yes, that's the soccer game.
So who's playing right now?
Croatia and Brazil.
All right. Oh, okay. So even more thanks for joining. So you probably keep one eye on the TV. So for those who don't know you, you are. I looked this up in LinkedIn. You're the director of cybersecurity at Dash Hudson. This sounds very, very serious. So, but you're also a lot into PowerShell, right?
Yeah. That is true. Yeah. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Sonny, and I live in Canada, actually Nova Scotia, so in Halifax, and it's raining like crazy right now here. It always rains here, but anyways. But yeah, I'm the director of cybersecurity at Dash Hudson. I joined the company 10 months ago, and I came from a consulting world. So I was consulting a lot on cybersecurity stuff, but then I reached a point where I was like, okay, I need to work for an organization to actually, implement a cybersecurity program. And the opportunity came up, and they were like, yeah, we're looking for somebody to build up our cybersecurity program from ground up. And I jumped right into it. But yeah, as Heiko said, like I used to, it's been a while, it's been a year now since I actually touched PowerShell. But before that, I used to use a lot of PowerShell. One of the challenges that I saw when I was working as a consultant would be, you go out there, you're working with the clients, and there is no way to easily kind of sample a few systems and see like what they're doing and what they're running. So, and that kind of motivated me to learn PowerShell too. And then I really got into PowerShell, built some tools for our team, and we used to use it for our PCI audits, for regular cybersecurity audits. So yeah, I used to work a lot in PowerShell, but this year has been quite challenging in terms of like building a new cybersecurity program. So you can say I moved from a more so a hands-on to more so a strategic role right now, but I still love PowerShell.
But so when we talk about security in PowerShell, I mean, this is a big topic as well. So I guess
so that's actually a good point. So one of the things that I'm just gonna pause my notifications here for a sec on my Slack. But yeah, so when I would say like when I moved before learning PowerShell, the way PowerShell is viewed in the cybersecurity community is under, and this is my own opinion, but I think it's been seen in a negative way, because most of the threat actors, they kind of use PowerShell a lot. But when I started learning PowerShell, and if you really get into PowerShell, you kind of see like why the hackers or the bad guys really like PowerShell, because it's a powerful tool, but if you are able to secure it and put like restrictions in place, then of course the bad guys won't be able to leverage PowerShell if they are in your environment. But still, we have a lot of folks in the cybersecurity community which kind of make these bullish statements like just remove PowerShell or disable PowerShell from your environment. And I don't think they really see the bigger picture. I mean, that's my opinion, though.
I think if you're going to remove PowerShell, that is going to break Windows. I'm just going to say, like, it is going to break Windows.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I get this, like, PowerShell get this bad press, so to speak, quite a lot. So that's really something that I think also Microsoft somehow has to, I would say, kind of try to address, and maybe promoting PowerShell also a little bit more than they do. But because, as you said, there are so many possibilities to make PowerShell secure.
Yeah.
And it's it's still it's everywhere, right? I think, and it's important technology in the toolbox of so many administrators and IT pros and organizations, big and small.
No, for sure. And that was something else that I noticed working as a consultant. Like I would go and meet like different clients with different backgrounds, different kind of environments, but their knowledge of PowerShell and the set of things that they can do with PowerShell, I saw a lot of folks were not using PowerShell. So, I kind of shared my tools with them too, and motivated some of those people to actually learn PowerShell. But you brought a good point, Heiko. Like I do also kind of realize that Microsoft is not really pushing for PowerShell. I mean, they are. I don't know.
I don't. Well, it's to some degree, I would say, but I think there is. It's the product group itself. I think it's pretty pretty small, and I don't know how much power, so to speak, they have inside of Microsoft. But we see things moving on with PowerShell 7 and stuff like that. So I think it will definitely not go away. But now that Jeffrey Snover also left and went to Google, is also where some people were looking at him like, okay, what does that mean? But of course, there is a team with Steve Lee, for example, who hopefully will also join us later on if he can make it, where we can maybe hear a little bit about his thoughts, as he is one of the principal engineer managers at the PowerShell team. But I think the community is the important thing. I think the people who are on that session today and then in the user groups and stuff, this is really what makes PowerShell growing, right? So so we'll see. We'll still. I think it's a great technology that is here to stay. And so you're looking at next year. So what are your plans for next year, Sonny?
So my plan is to actually get back into the more hands-on approach. I like the whole strategic component of the job, but what I'm missing is not being able to do like hands-on things. So for next year, my goal is to really get into the learning, like hands-on, learning the whole CI/CD pipeline. And kind of see like how things run behind the scene, kind of, because we all talk about like DevSecOps, but to implement a better DevSecOps, I think security should know, first of all, how the whole CI/CD pipeline actually works behind the scene. So my goal is to get really into that and learn everything about it, like how things are running behind the scene, and then bring in security into it. So my goal for the next, you can say, 8 months is to really learn everything that I can about like Docker, Kubernetes, all the CI/CD components, like CodeFresh is one of them. So that's my goal.
Okay, that sounds interesting. So it's going to be interesting also to follow you. I put the link to your Twitter handle into the chat. So you're going to share the things that you learn or the resources that you find on your way, on your journey. That will be really cool.
Yeah, I will.
And I always like your pictures when you walk around Halifax.
Yes.
So that looks like you start quite early, all right? So the pictures that I see, is it?
Yeah, it depends like on the day, but I kind of tend to get up like really early in the morning, and it's like really beautiful walking the boardwalk when nobody is there. So for those of you who have never been to Halifax, I'll highly recommend visiting us. It's a beautiful city, and the lobster is like amazing.
Okay.
And if you're looking for a tech conference to come to the Atlantic Technology Security Conference. It happens in April. It's a security conference, but it's like everybody from IT on Eastern Canada is here. So it's good times.
All right. That sounds interesting. Okay. Good tip. Cool. Yeah. So thanks for joining. And I guess you will go back to watching the soccer game or football, as we say over here, in good old Europe. And we're going to get Chrissy into the stream if she is available. Let's see. All right. I can already see. Okay. This looks festive as well, I would say.
The Christmas pickle. Hey, how are you?
Excellent. Fine, how are you?
So good. So excited to be here. I've been wanting to premiere the Christmas pickle for a while.
All right. Excellent. Nice hat. Really.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Awesome. So how have you been? How has been your year? But before you do that, let me just, again, for people who may not know you, just a short introduction. Of course, you are also, you're dual Microsoft MVP, right?
Yes.
And a GitHub star. And,
yes, indeed.
And did you start developing dbatools, or you have been one of the founders of dbatools?
No, I created dbatools it started in 2014. I was working at NATO Special Ops, and we had, I was told that we had to migrate SharePoint SQL Server databases. And if you've ever worked with SharePoint, you know that it makes like 50 databases. And I was like, I don't want to do each of these one by one. There must be a solution out there. Let's use PowerShell, because I'd been using PowerShell for SharePoint. And I was actually an editor on Lee Holmes's PowerShell cookbook. So I was like super into PowerShell. I figured there had to be a solution, and there wasn't one. And that's where it started. So I made like a few commands, and then I went out to conferences and said, I want this to be like a community tool set. And then the community jumped in, and it kind of went from there.
And it's a huge success story, right? I mean,
it's gone beyond my wildest dreams. I've wanted to give back since I was since the 90s. You know, I got on IRC and I worked with this. It was an egg drop bot, and I was like, I can't believe this is free. Like usually I'm paying for Windows, or I'm paying for software in general. You know, you go to the bookstore and there's all of these like expensive programs, and to get stuff for free. And I wanted to do the same thing. So no, like dbatools is completely a dream come true, especially because it mixes like my two favorite things in the world, which is PowerShell and SQL Server.
And if people would like to know more about it, I would, well, number one, I will put in your Twitter handle in here, but there's also the website, right?
You don't have to worry about putting my Twitter handle. I'm no longer there. I'm actually on the Fediverse, and if you could see my little handle, it's super cool because you can have aliases. So if you go to Mastodon and you type in @cl@dbatools.io, you don't even need the first @ but I just put it there anyway. Then it'll actually find me, and it doesn't matter which like server I go to, you can always find me there. So there's a whole bunch of like little hackery kind of fun things about Mastodon that I really love. And yeah, I'm no longer, even though my account still exists, it's because there's so many of my old presentations that make reference to my account, so I can't delete it, you know, because like some spammer might take it. And so it's just there, but it's dormant, and I have moved. Hey, what's up, Scatter? Good to see you.
So there seems to be a fan here, right?
Andy as well. And by the way, I'm so sorry if I'm yelling. First of all, I usually do yell, but second of all, I'm moving and I don't have any of my equipment, so I just have these like regular Sony noise canceling headphones, and I'm trying to hear myself over in the noise canceling. So I apologize if I'm like, what's up?
Over here, it's all good. It's all good. Though I didn't even realize that you're.
Oh, sweet.
So
yeah, you can't tell. I mean, it just looks like I'm in a bunch of brine or some beer.
Yes, which is always a good thing on a Friday evening, right?
Exactly,
At least on our side here. Yeah. So what have been your highlight for this year? What would you say?
There were two giant highlights. The first one is I loved the PSConfEU minicon. There was a Gather Town, and it was like the best virtual conference that I've ever been to. It was super fun, and I loved every single second of it. And the other thing was that we finally, after 3 years, released dbatools in a month of lunches by my favorite book publisher ever, which is Manning. And it was so rewarding. It's really awesome because it was very well embraced by the community, which is also like another extension of whenever I had wanted to do open source, I didn't imagine I could write a book for my favorite tech book company, and have that work out as well. So it brought me like so much joy.
That sounds amazing. And there are more fans for dbatools here. So dbatools is life, dbatools is love. I mean, okay, that is.
I see that Scatter asked if I'm still doing my Twitch coding streams.
Yeah.
I stopped for a while, honestly, because I got depression for like, it's been really terrible since 2020, but a bunch of things have changed recently, and everything's like so much better. And I plan to return to streaming when I move to Scotland and start my own company. And then, I could just show everybody what I'm doing at that time. So the answer is like yes, but not right now.
Okay, but well, you heard it here first, right? So now we know what's going to happen. So moving to Scotland, that sounds also quite interesting.
Yeah, I first went there in 2017 for a SQL conference, and I fell in love. And I actually tweeted, we're moving to Scotland, or we're moving to Glasgow specifically. And I kind of said it like maybe. And then it turns out that whenever we were looking for our next place that we're going to go, my wife really wants to live in the UK. She grew up like watching the BBC and, reading. She probably spells favorite with a U, like things like that. And so it was just kind of natural for her. And then I was like, yeah, let's do it, because I love Glasgow. I love Paolo Nutini. They actually even have poutine in Glasgow. So it's just one of my favorite cities in the world, and I'm really excited to move there.
Okay, and this is going to happen next year, or?
Okay, so I actually had all of my visa paperwork like ready to submit, and then everybody started getting laid off. And the type of visa that I'm going there with, it'll be cool. I'll be a free agent, so I could work for anybody. I could work for like Microsoft. I could work for GitHub. Like nobody's gonna have to sponsor me. And so I was just gonna move there without a job, and then just be like, hey, who wants to hire me? But then people's offers started getting rescinded, and then they started getting laid off. So I am basically sitting tight and waiting until the economy improves.
All right. Okay. So we are gonna follow you on the different platforms to see where are you going to, what we're going to see next from you.
Sounds like fun.
Excellent. Okay, cool. Thanks a lot. So we're running a little late already, but I will bring in Jeff into the talk.
Hey, everyone.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi, Jeff.
Hey, Jeff.
G'day.
Nice sweater.
Yeah, I got to stand up so you can see the whole thing there.
That's great. I mean, that's I would say sweater-wise, that's the best thing so far.
Is that a fire hydrant?
No, it's a chimney.
Ah!
That's
now
awesome.
I see it.
Yeah, our son got everyone ugly Christmas sweaters one year, and so I had to dig it out for today.
Yeah, awesome. So yeah, thanks for being with us. So again, for those of you who don't know Jeff, he's an MVP. You're a Pluralsight author. You wrote a lot of books about PowerShell. So you've been with PowerShell from even before day one, right? So
yeah, I'm one of the few remaining old guard, old dog PowerShell people. Yeah, so I started with PowerShell back in like probably 2005.
Wow. Okay, so there's quite some experience here.
Yeah, my day is spent just basically living, breathing, and doing everything with and in a PowerShell prompt.
Excellent.
I've built my entire day, other than email, which I could probably do. I just haven't gotten around to doing it yet. I just do everything from a PowerShell prompt or launching VS Code.
Awesome. So what have been your highlight for this year? What would you say? Like the achievements, projects?
A couple things. Okay. One would be the on-ramp program that we did at Summit this year. I think that went very well. That was a nice event for people who are up and coming into IT, get them integrated into our community and get them ready for their careers. Chrissy was kind enough to do a wonderful session on having a career in IT. I appreciate that, and everyone really liked that. We'll be doing that program again. The scholarships for the on-ramp program are open. The on-ramp program is designed, for those people who aren't familiar with it, for entry-level IT people, people who normally would not go to the PowerShell Summit, because the PowerShell Summit is really hardcore content. And so we built the on-ramp program a couple of years ago with the idea that we could, in essence, start bringing people along, give them an introduction to, first of all, having a career in IT, bring them up to speed on, or at least an introduction to cloud and DevOps and automation, and then trust that over the course of the next year, they can learn more, and then the following year, be ready to attend the main event. And we have a scholarship, or a set of scholarships that fund basically a free ride to the event. So the on-ramp program will include some content that is unique for the on-ramp program. I'll talk about some things, with some introductory classes on DevOps and Git and GitHub, and I'll be tagging speakers from the main conference to come in and do a session for me. And then some of the main event sessions, there are a few topics that I'll take my on-ramp attendees and we'll go to those sessions because the content kind of fits with what I want to do. So if you know someone who is kind of new to IT, getting into automation and DevOps, go to the PowerShell.org website, follow the links to the PowerShell Summit and the on-ramp program, and either get a ticket or see about getting the applying for the scholarship. So that was the one. The other big thing for me this year was I started just because I thought, well, why not try this? I've been doing this long enough. I started a premium newsletter on Substack called Beyond the PowerShell Pipeline. So you just go to jeffhicks.substack.com, and I write about 6 to 8, more like 8 articles a month that come in your email, and they're all detailed behind the scenes things about not so much how do I do something in PowerShell, but why something works in PowerShell the way that it does. Some of the unspoken things, the things about the PowerShell culture that we have in how we do things and how we should be thinking about PowerShell. Because again, I've been doing PowerShell for so long, it's all mechanics is second nature. And I think there is more to PowerShell than just the mechanics of how to write a PowerShell expression. And so I try to explore some of those things in the newsletter. So those would be some of my my highlights for the year.
But very interesting. I didn't even know about that you started to do things on Substack. I just put it in, also the link into the chat. That's really cool. And then there's still some music stuff that you do once in a while, right?
Oh yeah. So my free time, I do. I'm a amateur self-taught composer, and I have some scores up on newscore.com. I have a separate YouTube music channel that I occasionally will post some stuff, and I'll find my link and put it in the chat here at some point this morning.
Yeah, that would be cool, because I found your music channel as well, and it's fascinating, the things that you're doing, because you really, you're writing it actually, with all the notes and stuff, and
well, yeah. So I use MuseScore, which is an open source composing software, and then there's a separate website where people can upload their scores, and there's all these sound fonts, and you can basically play the score. It's all computer generated, but it sounds really good. So that's kind of what I have been doing. Oh, here, I'll put in a link for my latest score.
Perfect. Hi, Mike. I just saw your chat that it would be okay to bring you both in. Sure. Sorry, I didn't see this before.
That's okay.
So
hi guys. Do I have to log in to post something here?
If you put it into the private chat, I can switch it. You either
I'll
can
put it
directly
in the private chat and you switch over. I don't see an option.
Or you can log in on the YouTube channel and do it directly. But I can, here it is. Okay,
So try that.
Let's paste it into the.
Yeah, I'm just in the StreamYard page.
Perfect. Okay, so I just paste it into the public chat. Yeah. Okay, that's really interesting. So we're going to hear more music from you in 2023.
Oh yeah. I've got more things in mind, and I'm revising some older things as I, each time I write something, I learn a little bit more, and I realize, now I see how that concept is supposed to work. And so my scores have gotten a little more, I'd like to think, richer and a little more complex.
What type of music is it?
It's a whole variety. A lot of it is more classical oriented. I do have a couple kind of synthesizer based works that you'll find. But yeah, I kind of tried different experiments. I took one piano piece that another composer had written and did a small arrangement, because to me, when I heard the piano part, it sounded very jazzy. And so I arranged it for a little jazz combo with a tenor sax and piano and bass and drums, and it turned out pretty nicely.
So do you produce it on things like an iPad or
No, I just produce it's just software. You can enter in notes either from a regular keyboard. I also have a USB little keyboard that I can also use, which is nicer if I have to put in chords, or I can also just kind of noodle around and kind of hear what I'm working on. The software is smart enough that if you had a full-size keyboard and knew how to play piano, you could actually play it and it would record it and transcribe it for you. But I know the keys, I can read music, obviously, and I know what's on a keyboard, but I don't play piano. So that part would be beyond me. But I can play notes, and I know what I want to do. So the little keyboard comes in handy.
Cool. Yeah, so that's good. So Michael, the guy with the iPad, that's me. I'm doing the music with the GarageBand, and
I thought you build up a team, something like that. So
yeah, maybe we can. I mean, the dream would be to have a community kind of an orchestra. That would be.
Yeah. Well, I wrote the Iron Scripter theme years ago. I'll see if I can find that here and give you a link to that.
Okay.
I'm not sure, what the future is for the Iron Scripter. I may have to upload this. I may not have put this in.
Ooh, okay. So
I'll find it.
Okay, cool. So
talk to Mike. Mike came in. Hi, Mike.
Yeah.
Yes. Hey, everybody.
Yeah. Hi, Mike. Great to have you on the session here.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be asked. And so it's kind of fitting to be following Jeff here because I have some breaking news that may not have been announced. I haven't been here since the beginning, so I'm assuming no one has talked about PowerShell Summit yet.
I talked a little bit about the on-ramp program.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah,
but
so
15 minutes ago, the PowerShell Summit just sent out the notifications to speakers who got selected.
All right.
Everybody's got, there's some happy people that got emails right now. If you're on this and you haven't checked your email and you submitted a talk, you may want to go check your email. You may be a speaker at the summit in April.
Cool. So some nice presents under the Christmas tree.
Yeah. And so we are looking forward to a very big summit this year. As people get used to returning to events in mass more. Someone got a sad email. I am so sorry for that. But we're expecting big things this year for the summit and excited for that.
It's going to be in April, right?
So the summit is going to be from April 24th to the 27th in Bellevue, Washington. For those who have attended in the past, it's going to be at the Bellevue Marriott. We have the event in the hotel now. So you stay in the hotel, you just come down from your hotel room, hang out with us at the sessions. And it's 4 days of absolute fun. It's a great event to hang out with people in the community, get to spend time with Jeff and others, and it's just a really wonderful event. I look forward to it every year.
Perfect. I just put in the link to the summit into the chat.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're one of the main organizers, right?
Well, I have an interesting role. So I am one of the organizers, but I'm not on the selection committee. I stay clear of that. And I'm a presenter this year. So I submitted just like everybody else. And so they had 175 submissions for talks this year. They selected 40, plus we have probably close to 10 sessions with Microsoft this year between keynote and individual sessions. So there'll be close to 50 talks that people can see at the summit this year. And had a quick look at the list of people that got accepted, and it's a really impressive lineup with a lot of great talks. And so it should be a wonderful year, this next summit.
Awesome. And so what would you say? What was your highlight for this year? The things that
I fashioned myself a little differently than some of the other people that you've had on. I have my fingers into lots of different things. And so, if I look back on the whole year, I had a number of highlights that were really awesome. So I was one of the speakers for Jeff's on-ramp program last year. And that was, a huge feather in my cap to be able to do that. I was able to talk to on-ramp students about the importance of community and participating and keeping what is community alive and paying it forward. So that was a bunch of fun. And then out of the summit, Jason and the PowerShell team asked me to start participating in the Microsoft community call that we do every month. And so I really love that. I'm very blessed. I have a very popular user group that's been going strong, and we've returned.
Oh, I think we lost Mike just now. Maybe we can log in again. In the meantime, I will, because he just started to talk about his user group, which is the Research Triangle user group. I will just put in the link in here. I think it's one of the biggest user groups on the that are there in the US, besides the one together with the one in New York. Here. Okay, Mike, can you hear us again?
Yeah, did I drop out there?
Yeah, there was some.
My browser is at 100% when I joined this stream, and I'm not sure why. Ooh. So I was worried that might happen.
Okay. Stop the video streaming of all the movies in the background.
Yeah. So, but I'm not sure where I dropped. So I've had an interesting year.
Yeah, you were just started to talk about your user group, but just paste it in the link to the Research Triangle user group.
Yeah,
which I think is one of the biggest in the US, right?
Yeah, so we're myself and Phil Bossman, my co-lead, we're very, very blessed to have a very active following of people that come and join us, and we've had some great speakers. Matter of fact, we have Jeff that's going to be speaking for us in the new year. I think in February. I think yeah. And so
you got to remind me about that.
Yeah, I was going to reach out to you in a couple of days.
I was going to say, this is the reminder.
Yeah.
And is it virtual, hybrid, or in person only?
Well, so my group is the only group that meets twice a month.
Wow.
And so we meet on the first and third Wednesday of the month. And on the first Wednesday of the month, it's all virtual. On the second, it's hybrid, where we have people remote and in person. And so it's gone well. I've been helping lead the group now for 3+ years, and we've had in my time over 100 speakers, and it's hard to imagine that we've booked 100 speakers for the last 3 years, but somehow we just keep doing it. We keep finding stuff to talk about, and it's fun.
That's amazing. And just to let you know, as I mentioned it earlier before I think you joined the session. Ryan and I, we plan to restart our Rhein-Neckar PowerShell user group over here in Germany.
Huh?
and it's going to be the first one going to be a virtual session in February, and where we're looking for speakers. So I might reach out to you guys to see if you have time to join us, maybe.
Sure. So you spoke for our group last year, earlier this year, right? And
yeah, right, last year.
And you were very accommodating. It was very late at night for you to speak in our session, and we appreciate that. So I owe you one. I'd be happy to speak at your group. I'm sure Phil would as well. I just found out today that I got selected for 2 sessions at the summit, so I'm freaking out a little bit about prepping for April. So after April, I'm more than happy to speak at your user group.
All right. Okay.
I can definitely funnel some people your way for sure.
Yeah. Maybe that would be that would be a way to do it. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Excellent. So yeah, great. So I think we can now have Steve on our stream. Steve Lee from the Microsoft team. Hi. Thanks for being with us quite early in the morning over there, right?
It's not that early now. I actually forgot that my session was at 9 a.m. Pacific time, so I was actually ready at 7 a.m.
Oh my God, really?
No, don't worry about it. My kids get up that time for school anyway, so I was already up.
Okay. So yeah, it's great to have you here in the session as a little end of the year session with people from the community, talk about what they have done, what they're planning to do, and get together from all around the world. As we have Michael Sanata, who from Australia. What time is it right now, Michael?
It's 3 o'clock in the morning.
3 o'clock in the morning. Oh my God.
Oh,
and I didn't see you drink any coffee, but you're still alive.
I've actually gone through. I've gone through a process of removing my addiction to caffeine. So
right.
I don't have any decaf anything in the house. So I'm kind of just winging it.
Okay, cool. Awesome.
Maybe the 3 a.m. is the need for the sunglasses.
It is. It was a 1 a.m. sunglasses. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, Steve, it's great to have you with us here as one of the lead engineer managers of the Microsoft PowerShell team. So, of course, I think we would be interested in hearing what your highlights have been for this year, and maybe plans for next year, and maybe the plans for PowerShell and all that stuff.
Sure.
Maybe things you can share with us.
Well, first, thanks for inviting me. I think one of the reasons PowerShell is such a great thing is the community, right? So I really appreciate seeing some of the folks I interact with, and also some folks I don't normally interact with. So I think for me, the big highlight for this year for PowerShell, and reminder, I also own OpenSSH. So for me, there's challenges on both sides, but I do post a blog post early in the calendar year for our team investments, and I think that we kind of hit most of those, maybe not as far as I want in some of those things. Like PowerShell Get 3 I was hoping would be done this year, but it's not quite done yet. But some of the other stuff was done. So I'm pretty happy with how the team executed. We did other things beyond what's just in that blog post. And so for next year, and by the way, the blog post this year came out in March. I'm really hoping that I'll have the team investments blog post towards the end of January or maybe February. So much earlier in the year, in terms of what we're planning on doing for PowerShell 7.4, and also what the future of OpenSSH and the gallery and all these things we have in mind. So I don't know if there's anything I can really, anything I want to share ahead of that blog post. I'll just say, one of the big areas of investments that we looked at for PowerShell 7.3, and it kind of continues from PowerShell 7.2, is really making PowerShell just a great shell, right? Like a great environment just to do your stuff. I think that from an automation, I think we've kind of already have a great solution there. We did a lot of language investments on 7.0, and the challenge of doing language investments is that it requires everyone to move to that latest version to be able to use it, right? So we want to kind of avoid that and maybe do it as one big step at a time. But one of the areas that we really looked at for 7.3 and also continuing the 7.4 is really native commands, right? I think a lot of people, sometimes I'll get these questions, and They're like, hey, how do I, do this thing? There's no commandlet. I was like, you know what? You can just call that command directly in your PowerShell script, and it'll just work, right? And sometimes people don't realize that. One of the things that kind of hit me, I think it was early 2022, maybe in 2021. Like I was asked to do like a script review with an internal team at Microsoft, and I noticed that they're using start process to just call native commands. Like this is completely unnecessary. Like, do people not generally realize that these things work together as a commandlet? Just you don't get the the verb noun thing. So we've been trying to make some investments to make it more natural, more intuitive. And there's some challenges there because there's a lot of history in a Windows PowerShell. So there's certain things we couldn't change, or some things that we tried to change, like how argument passing worked, and that kind of broke some folks. And we're having discussions how to fix some of that. But the idea is like really the goal for me is like, hey, you're learning like say kube control, Docker, or some other thing that's not a PowerShell specific thing, and you see some examples, you want to cut and paste that out of like Stack Overflow or some doc page into PowerShell. What I want is most of the time it should just work, right? That's the idea. So you don't have to do some weird PowerShell isms to get it to work. But the big challenge that has been, a lot of people have already worked around some of these known challenges from the Windows PowerShell days, and then now if we fix it, then we kind of break those workarounds. So there's a balance there. We got to try to figure out how to support people who already do it and support new folks that we're trying to bring into the PowerShell community, so they don't have to learn about these things.
Yeah, I mean,
hey, Steve, I've said this in the past. I'll say it again. I've continued to just be impressed when you think about the scope of what PowerShell can do and the scale of the environments that it could work in, right? Some people work in 100 computer environments. Some people work in 100,000 computer environments. And you think about that range, Windows, Linux, Mac OS, and the quality of code that comes out from the PowerShell team, whether it be for PowerShell, the shell, or for new modules, it's really impressive, especially as someone who writes code and makes a lot of mistakes. And, you get people that run your code and errors come back and you're like, I never expected to see that error. And the quality of code that the team produces is just amazing. And so kudos to you guys for the continued great work that you do.
Well, thank you. But I also want people to realize that with quality means things don't happen as fast as people want, right? We do need to take our time. And one of the things that we try to do early on was have these experimental features, right? So experimental feature, by the way, doesn't mean bad quality code. It just means that the design is not considered complete. So based on feedback, if we make changes to the design, it's not considered a breaking change. Versus if it's non-experimental, the bar is much higher to say, do we need to change the name of the switch? Do we need an alias? Do we change the behavior? Stuff like that. So there's a lot of considerations that may not be aware. And by the way, I'll just call out, like, this is where I also appreciate all the community members helping out in the working groups, because now they kind of see some of the challenges we have making some of these decisions. It's not like one person says, I really hate this thing, can you do it? It's like, you know what? There's 1,000 or a million other people who like it the other way. And I'm sorry, I can't make everyone happy. And sometimes the decisions aren't obvious why we're doing it. And I apologize. Sometimes we'll do, one thing we'll try to do better in the future is try to explain the reasoning. Like a lot of times for us, like we were in these conversations and the reasoning's in our head. And then when we do a very small write-up on like the GitHub repo, sometimes we forget, we're human. We forget like, hey, we didn't translate everything in there to make it obvious to people who were not in that meeting. So I apologize. And we'll try to do a better job in the future for those things.
Yeah, I want to jump in here too, if I can, since Steve mentioned the GitHub repo. There are thousands of issues open on GitHub for PowerShell. And I'm going to strongly encourage the audience, who is, I'm assuming primarily IT pros, to jump in and look at those issues and provide your comments and feedback. Because I'm one of the members on the Commandlet working group. And so I look through the GitHub repo, and a lot of the comments that we get are from people who are approaching PowerShell from a developer perspective. And if there's an issue and it matters to you and you're an IT pro and you don't speak up, you may not get the result that ultimately is going to help you. So you have to get in the habit of every couple of weeks at least, hop on the GitHub repo, look through and see if there are issues that affect you. And if so, then you need to provide your feedback. Because if you don't, and PowerShell makes a change that doesn't suit you, well, you had your chance to speak up. So I'm going to strongly encourage everyone to get involved and keep an eye on those issues and comment and add your support when you can. You don't have to write PRs, you don't have to write code, but you can certainly provide use cases and feedback and your opinion on those matters, because it really does matter.
Yeah, let me add on to that real quick. Jeff, thanks for bringing that up. I think the very minimal thing people can really do to help out the working groups and the team when we do triage for these things, the minimal thing, just do a thumbs up or a thumbs down, right? Let's just show like people care or don't care about this thing, or agree or disagree. And then going back to what Jeff was saying, like a little bit more context on the real world use case scenarios really helps us kind of decide the importance of it. And, you know, it kind of helps set priority, right? First off, I do really appreciate people who open up issues to kind of distill the repro to something artificial, because it really helps us debug it. But at the same time, having a real understanding of how IT and even end user customers use this stuff or how it impacts them without providing privacy information, by the way, really helps us understand how to prioritize this and how to properly fix it. Because when we just have a very academic discussion, it's very hard to come with a great solution that affects the real world. So,
yeah, great comment. And just to be, also to from my side, because we had this obviously we talk to many organizations using PowerShell, and we see PowerShell 7 really coming more and more to life. We have this monthly webinars where we always ask the audience, what are you using? And if I go back 2 years ago, 1.5 years ago, it was like everybody was Windows PowerShell, and now we can really see a shift. And I think that's really great, where we can see now people starting to adopt PowerShell 7 more and more. And so I guess that's going to be a trend that we will see also in 2023, growing more and more. I don't know what your experiences are in this area.
No, I mean, like the data shows clearly that there's a movement. I mean, one of the big challenges for us is really, and the question I get asked often is, why can't we ship PowerShell 7 in Windows, right? And I kind of explained it in different venues, and I'll explain it again for those who aren't like in our monthly community calls. The biggest problem is really that, and again, I don't want anyone to feel like I'm throwing .NET team under the bus, because they have legit reasons for this, is that the long-term servicing support for .NET, which used to be called .NET Core, that PowerShell 7 is based on, is not as long as what Windows requires, right? So Windows requires at a minimum 5 + 5 years, so that's 10 years. And if you look at Windows 7, I don't even know now, I have to look it up. It's probably like 20 years of support or something like that. It's gone through like multiple extended support, right? And .NET team still supports .NET Framework, and they know the pain of supporting multiple releases of Windows, multiple versions of .NET Framework. And luckily for me, we have a different team that continues to service Windows PowerShell, although we work and help with them. So it is very costly for a team to ship in Windows to support such a long life cycle, especially if they want to keep moving forward very quickly, right? So the big thing for us is really, all right, we can't really support a PowerShell 7 inbox at this moment in time. So the best we can do is make it as easy as possible to install it and deploy it across large enterprise. So that's why we publish it to a lot of different places now, right? We got the store, we got Winget for Linux, we got the packages, Microsoft.com, we have it on Brew for macOS. We're looking at some other options. I think this was published as an RFC. You can probably talk about it. I'm working with Jason Helmick on this install PowerShell 7 commandlet that we would hopefully ship in Windows, so that the first thing you can do from Windows PowerShell is run like install PowerShell 7 as a way to deploy it more easily, something like that. Or you can run it through group policy, whatever, right? So we're looking at ways to just make it easier to deploy.
Cool. And you already, as you said, you already did a great job in making it easier and easier. So for people who really want to do it, I mean, there are so many different ways. So, but I also know, there's many, let's say, standard IT pro admins who say, okay, as long as it's not shipped, I have a problem with the infrastructure, even though they don't have to run it, as we all know, not everywhere. But I think that's an ongoing journey, and I think again it's great to see all the enhancements also coming in with the secrets management module and stuff like that. So I think that what your team is doing is really awesome.
So to piggyback a little bit on what Steve was talking about with and Jeff about jumping into the repos and giving real world examples. that thought extends out to the greater community as a whole. If you ask Michael or Chrissy or Jeff, people sometimes wonder, like, what's the benefit of participating in the community and going to user groups or watching Twitch streams or the Microsoft community call. One of the most simple things that comes out of that is understanding how other people use the tools that you're using, and you don't realize some of the things that you can do with the tools you have already. So in my user group, many of the sessions that we present are not necessarily so new and unique that nobody's ever seen it, but to see someone who's skilled in an area use the tools in a different way than you didn't consider opens up ideas for you to then either take back to work or to build your own tools and expand what you can do with the existing tool set that you didn't even know was capable. So whether it's jumping in the repos or participating in the community, going to watch a Twitch stream, participating at the summit or attending, there's a huge benefit to your career to participating and understanding how others use the tools that are already available to you.
Absolutely. I think that's a great point now to also bring Gael into the stream, who was waiting quite a lot already. Hi, Gael.
Hello, how are you doing?
Great.
Hi, everyone. Good to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, sure. We already had some talk about PSConfEU quite a bit, and you commented. Thanks for that, and thanks for being with us. So, for people who don't know, Gael, well, you're an MVP, of course, and you're one of the head organizers of the PSConfEU and of the PowerShell DSC community, right?
Yes, and a few of the user groups. Yes,
which is pretty near and dear to your heart, especially the PowerShell DSC stuff, right?
Yes, it is.
Which
I'll
is
talk about
also
that
something that Michael started to dig into this year quite a bit. Yeah. So what has been your highlight for this year?
Well, obviously taking over PSConfEU from Tobias was very stressful, but because it was a success and I could invite to some extent Tobias, he did a lot of work and then really helped out, so that the transition was really great. But managing to do that and then following up with PSConfEU Minicon, which is like online and Gather, that was pretty cool. And then that's from like the events and personal success story, I would say. In terms of technology, it's DSC, bringing back DSC from the dead to some extent, just for a sensational title, with Azure to manage machine configuration, and then the work with PSDSC, open sourcing the PowerShell design state configuration module. Like, I think that's for me, that's really what gives me lots of hope, and then kept me busy a lot as well this year.
Excellent.
And people are going back to in-person events, so that's great as well.
I unfortunately I couldn't make it to Vienna, but I hope to be in Prague next year, because that's it's not just it's a great city and it's a great conference, so I think that's a big fit, and I think you had already this year you had a lot of people coming from Steve Lee's team, right, from the PowerShell team, being in Vienna, and I guess it's going to happen.
I will let Steve comment on that.
Well, it was mainly the PMs that were able to attend this calendar year. I'm hoping that myself and some engineers will be able to attend in 2023 in Prague. It has not been approved yet, so from that perspective, I can't announce anything. I'm still waiting on that approval before I submit our sessions, which I know.
You got the company credit card, don't you? I was going to say, Steve, you got the company credit card?
I have a credit card. I don't know if I want to ask for forgiveness here. But actually, since I have the mic right now, and interesting, Gael reminded me of one thing I forgot to mention when I talked about the future. I will have more to talk about DSC v3 in 2023, early 2023. So.
Okay, you made Gael happy just now. So actually, there was one question regards to the PowerShell team. Yeah, how does the PowerShell team work with the Azure automation team? Any chance they can add UI list block support for validate set?
The immediate answer is we worked more closely with them in the past before they actually had a product out, and also we worked with them when they added PowerShell 7 support. So we don't actively work with them on a regular basis. I would think that if this is something that someone wants, I would say just start by opening an issue in our PowerShell repo. I don't think this is specific to Azure Automation. This is probably more general, adding the additional support for validate set.
Okay, fair enough. Cool. So back to Gael. So if people would say, somebody would say, okay, what is PowerShell DSC? Why should I start using it? What would you say? Because I think, because for many people, and it is technology-wise, kind of, PowerShell and PowerShell DSC, kind of a different thing. But so how would you address that?
So there's different. So if you start without knowing anything, I would say one of the first thing you can do is find some information, like the PowerShell docs are pretty good and they've been updated and they're kept up to date. So you can look at that. And then the basics is, well, you want to use it if you do systems configuration. So you have, let's say, a Windows server to start with, maybe, and not only, but I'll get into that later. But you want to manage some configuration. So instead of writing all the scripts in an imperative way, so you do the first thing, then the second thing, you just describe in the state you want your server to be in or your configuration item to be in. So you say, hey, make sure that this is configured this way and just make it so. So that's the rough principle. And then how you manage this, orchestrate to some extent, depends on the different solutions you want to use. And I would say, like, I will plug, Jeff's Pluralsight course. I believe he's got a course on DSC, and he can tell us more about that. But you can just go and watch his course, and then that's a good way, to have a good understanding of all the basics of DSC there.
Yeah, I redid my DSC content for Pluralsight and revamped the entire DSC version 2. I mean, the stuff you would use now with Windows PowerShell. Completely revamped that, so that's now available. So if you are still managing Windows-based servers, there's no reason you can't use DSC today. And a lot of people still are, and they might want to learn it. And I'm not privy to what is coming up in vNext, but I'm assuming at least some of the core concepts will still apply. So even if you learn the V2 stuff, some of the core concepts will still apply. Just the mechanic will probably change when we get to version 3.
Exactly. So the whole concept is exactly the same with Azure auto-managed machine configuration. Same thing. But then you add some changes, and then everything is through Azure and the Azure control plane. But that doesn't mean you can't have your on-prem servers, wherever they are. They can be on your VMware servers. And then you just use Arc to manage them and to reach them in your on-prem servers, but controlled by Azure. So there's a lot of things to do there, but the idea is, the core ideas of DSC is you have a resource, and then you declare the states you want this resource to be in, and then DSC just makes it so. And then if you're just you can use that within your PowerShell scripts with invoke DSC resource. So that's some of the work that the PowerShell team has done is being able to leverage these community resources and look at dsccommunity.org to find many, not all of them, some are outside of the community, but many of the resources and resource modules there. And it's a good way to not having to rewrite a script to manage a configuration. You just say, hey, I want it to be like this, apply it for me, invoke DSC resource with a hash table. And this will allow you to get the state or set the state of the server or test the state of the server.
Perfect. Thanks a lot.
No worries.
All right. So I think we are we are more than in time. I'm really surprised, and because we try to keep this whole session under 2.5 hours, which we kind of did already. So that's great. So thanks for everybody for joining. Are there any final words? Gael, please.
I would like just to remind people that haven't submitted to PowerShell Conference Europe that you still have until the 16th. And then, make sure you submit. We already have quite a few submissions. We're happy with that, but we just need more. And then if you're not too sure about, submit, please do submit. We want to hear about what you have to say. We want to We want to see you all succeed and then share what you have. And there's also some other events that you definitely should go. I've been speaking to the PowerShell and DevOps Summit North America last year. Unfortunately, I'm not going to do that every year, so I didn't submit this time. But definitely, I will go back. And then, be involved. I would like everyone to be involved in the local user groups. And I've restarted some of us have restarted the Swiss PowerShell user group, also the London PowerShell user group, and some others. And I've stuck.
Okay, now we can see again.
It's just a blip.
I saw this for the Swiss PowerShell user group. That's great. And just also to mention that we are going to restart our local user group over here as well. And I might get in touch with you guys again because of, asking for speakers, looking for speakers and stuff like that. So,
yeah, you should schedule a user group meeting close to PSConfEU on either side, because you might be able to snag a speaker or two who's going to be there and just come a little earlier, a little later.
Yeah, that's an absolutely great idea. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That's essentially what we do. We leave March and April open on the calendar, and we see if there's any speakers that want to come and practice for the upcoming PowerShell Summit, or as Gael says, for PSConfEU.
Yeah.
And it gives them an opportunity. And we usually don't record those, or if we do record them, we hold them until after their session. But it gives them a chance to practice and work at the kinks.
Yeah, it's a great way to do it.
Absolutely cool. Yeah, so I think we are really at the end of this session. It was a lot of fun talking to all you guys. As we said, as a kind of a wrap up of this year, meeting globally with all people from around the world. Thanks everybody who joined, who watched the session, and people who are still here, like Steve, Michael, Mike, Jeff, and Gael. Thanks a lot. Have happy holidays. Hope you can relax a little bit so that recharge the batteries so we can have an even more better 2023.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us. Thanks for being part of this.
Can I mention something real quick?
Steve's got something info.
Sure. I think for any local user groups, if you guys have some specific topics and you don't mind a virtual presenter, then feel free to reach out to me. I can get some team members to kind of participate in some of those things. And don't worry if you want a beginner type of topic either. It doesn't have to be highly technical. We can do either one, right? So don't worry if you want to send a request my way. It won't necessarily be me, but it could be someone on my team.
Perfect.
And it's true. I tried that, and the London PowerShell user group will have a gym tour early January, and then we host as well so we created this map for Minicon. So we host if any user group wants to use it, you can tell us. We have specific dates, and we can host your user group on Gather. We will pay for the fees for people to join, and anyone can just have their user group on this virtual map on Gather, and I can send the details if you reach out to me.
Perfect.
And last but not least, I'll just say that if anybody has ever considered running a user group or starting it, one of the hardest things to do is to find speakers and resources to get off the ground. And so PowerShell.org can help in both of those areas. PowerShell.org can provide some funding for things like pizza and dinners, can provide a Teams account so that you have a way to present and do things like that. And so I would be more than happy to talk to anybody who's interested in trying to get a user group off the ground. You can reach out to me or any of the members of the PowerShell org team, James Petty, Missy Janusco, Kevin Marquette, and we'd be happy to help you find a way. We'd be happy to try to help you get your user group off the ground and provide resources.
Perfect. Excellent. And of course, Scriptrunner is also happy to sponsor user groups, for pizza and stuff like that. Great. All right. So thanks again, everybody, for joining. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in and following this session. And we have 2 hours and 29 minutes and 29 seconds. So we are on the dot. So that's amazing. Didn't expect that. So thanks again, guys. It was great talking to you. Have a great holiday and see you soon.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.